You are listening to the Mark Lesko podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko podcast.
What's up, Yinzer Nation? Welcome to the Mark Lesko podcast. I am your Center County cousin, J-Rod, and this is Black and Gold Mondays. Well, guys, this is not my first official episode, but this is, I think, the start of the next chapter for it, because this is, again, an every Monday show. This is where I'll be doing all my content for all Pittsburgh stuff. I'm going to try to do the centrals within each episode and just cover it Black and Gold Mondays. So this is how it's going to be, guys. I'm going to have 3 topics for each team and just go through the whole motion of each segment. And then I'm going to go into the next team, and that will be the content. So it's about a 45-minute to an hour episode. So strap yourselves in, guys. Without further ado, let's just get right to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I've entitled the puck drop topic a roller coaster season. And I think that is appropriate to say that. Yesterday's game was rough, to say the least. Seeing them not show up against the top team in their Metropolitan Division, I really wish there could be a better explanation for it. But sometimes, you're going to have a dud. And I know that wasn't the right time to do it. They had a very rough road trip these last several games in about a week and a half, and they came home and they took on the Jets, and we'll get into the games a little later, but the roller coaster season, guys. I mean, it's never about what you think the season will be. It's really about the ups and downs of every game and how you respond and how you take ownership or learn from the losses or what you didn't do right. If this season was a roller coaster, it would be called the Phoenix Corkscrew Mixer Whirl. About the only thing I could come up with. It's not just the results. It's not even just the team itself. It's the other teams that are in the fold. The Carolina Hurricanes are not in this conversation, unfortunately, because they now have cemented pretty much first place. They have pretty much taken over the entire Metropolitan, so they're 10-point ahead of them. So everybody else, I feel like they're not in this conversation. It's between us, the Blue Jackets, and the Islanders. These 3 teams are locked in a steel cage match, pretty much trying to see who's going to come out on top in second or third or a wild card in this division. This really is what it comes down to. I know we faced the Islanders at least one more time, and we don't play the Blue Jackets anymore. They're done. We played the Hurricanes yesterday. That was it for the season. So we have a chance to face our division one more time. And again, we still have 13 games left. This is a very important stretch going down the rest of the season because the games don't get any easier. I mean, when you look at these standings, this is just crazy. Again, the Hurricanes own first place. And then you have the Penguins at 86 and the Blue Jackets and Islanders at 85 each. That is shrink wrap on top of shrink wrap. That is so crazy how close each of these teams are. And then you look at their point spreads or goals. We've shot 241 goals, Blue Jackets 228, Islanders 206. I mean, it's pretty obvious who the forward team is. But in terms of defense and goaling, I mean, we've given up the most goals, and the Blue Jackets are a little behind us, and the Islanders are pretty good behind the post. So, I mean, it's very important for us to know what's going to come. I mean, looking back on this season, in our first 10 games, we went 7-3. And after that, the next 15, they went 6-9. And around that time, that was when Richard Reichel went down. And just one player Losing one player to injury really does mess up your whole team's psyche, and it can mess up how they perform. And it really did kind of start showing around that time. And after that, I mean, we had 16 games where we had a stretch of 7-9, but 4 of those games were either shootout or overtime losses. So like we didn't get a point each time. So we were constantly staying at least afloat or around 500 up until that point. And then by the Olympic break, we were still hovering around 500. We were, getting a lot of people back, but then Sidney Crosby went down, and then we lost Evgeny Malkin to the suspension, and we had to again go through a really tough stretch of the season. And that was really when it all started. And when you see the whole result, I mean, we have 35, 19, and 16. That sounds like somebody's measurements. It does not sound like a record, but that's what we have in terms of the overtime losses that we've suffered this whole season. And yeah, the defense has kind of always been suspect. That's really what we can probably deteriorate from. What exactly are the biggest issues with the Penguins throughout this whole season between defense and overtime losses? If it was any better, it would probably look a lot better. I mean, now, where do they go from here? I mean, this is crazy, guys. Like, to know that they are just sandwiched in with all these other teams, I just really need to know what is going to be the case. Like, I know that having our first shootout loss against the Jets, that was the first time in 3 months. That really does show how tough this team has made it on themselves, not really preparing themselves in that aspect. I know that, again, I've made a point many times before, the playoffs do not have this setup. So I feel like that's not going to be an issue if we ever make it to the playoffs. I mean, it is a huge deal, that this team has the stretch that they have. And then again, when they went out yesterday to that game, I mean, it was soul crushing to know that they just decided not to kind of put emphasis on this particular game because they are kind of focusing on Colorado, which makes complete sense. I mean, Colorado will be coming into PPG Arena and wanting a little revenge on how they got handled, by the Penguins. I mean, again, the up and downs of this whole season. On Monday's game was just magical. It was absolutely incredible. And then we did nosedive back down when we took on the Hurricanes and lost in overtime. And then we came home. We wanted to shoot out against the Jets, which was emotional because we had to come back into it, and only just to not show up against the Hurricanes again and ending our season against them 1-3. Our first meeting, we took them on December 30th. We beat them 5-1. And in these last 3 games, we lost in a shootout against them 6-5. We lost in overtime 5-4 or something like that. And then we lost 5-1 yesterday. It was pretty abysmal to see how they performed. But again, they had their reasons. And again, you just hope that this is not something that happens any more in the season, because this is still a tough stretch and they got to get through it. Anyone who watches sports is aware that there is a winner and a loser. But in the city of Pittsburgh's case, this is a first chance a team has really had to actually win a playoff series in a decade. I feel like we have not gotten beyond the first round of the playoffs in any sport in this city for the longest time. I mean, 9 years of watching 2 out of our 3 sports teams just make it to the first round and eliminated. It's unbelievable. It's frustrating. I mean, it's not just the fact they're falling on their face. It is the fact that they are smashing their noses back through the back of the head bad. Like, that's how bad it looks. Like, I wish these realities didn't exist for this city, but you look at this triangle of mediocrity with the Pirates being lopsided and droopy. Like, the Penguins are making good strides, though, to make themselves into a competitive team. Now, a playoff team, it's going to really be a test, because I know how easier the other teams have it and how much we've got to look forward to with this one. So, I mean, so yes, going 2-2 isn't the worst, but it's tough to know that they need to do what they need to do, to get themselves over this stretch. It's so important that they find where their weaknesses are and how to learn from it and figure it out. I mean, the other ugly fact is that in yesterday's game against the Hurricanes, we only mustered 19 shots. I mean, that team just has our number, and they really played like that. So there's time to make up for it, but I hope that they can figure it out, guys. So let's move on to the next subject, which will be, how do we sort out the laundry? And I'm going to really dive into this subject where it's the Penguins, the Blue Jackets, and the Islanders. So what I have done here is that I have written down everybody's lines and all of the players' points on those lines, and I've added them all up, and we see who exactly is the better team. Now, this is just the forwards. I'll go into a little more further depth as to what I think will separate us from these teams, but let's take a look at this real quick. So what it looks like here is, if I show you this line, in the first line you see that there is Richard Reichel, Sidney Crosby, and Brian Rust. And then in the next line, you have, for the Islanders, it shows Anders Lee, Bo Hargart, and Emil Heineman. And then with the Columbus Blue Jackets, they have this. They have Mason Marchment, Adam Fatili, and Kirill Marchenko. I'm trying not to butcher the names, guys, but I'm just saying. So, like, what I've done is I've taken all their points and I've added them all up, and this is what you get. So, in the first line, with all those guys I named, Reichel has 35, Sidney has 63, and Rust has 57. It's a combination of 155 points. And then for the Islanders, I'm not renaming the guys I just said, but their line has 37, 50, and 28. It equals 115. So they're significantly lower than the Penguins' first line. And the Blue Jackets, their guys are 34, 52, and 58. It's pretty close, but it comes out to 144. So the Penguins do win in this line comparison as to who has the most points in the first line. And the next line, it goes like this. I'm not naming names. I'm just going to name off their points. So in the second line, the line for the Penguins is 31, 37, 52, which equals 120. And the Islanders have 21, 32, and 64, which jumps out at you. I mean, Sidney's is 63. And the second lineman for the Islanders on the right wing side, he has 64 points. I want to say the name. Matthew Brazal, oh my goodness, 64 points. That's MVP style stuff. And their point total is 117, just 3 points below Pittsburgh. And in the Blue Jackets' second line, their points go 21, 35, and 32, equals 88. So we win the second line round again. And then the next line, in the third, the lines go 53, 32, and 30, equaling 115. The Islanders go 14, 31, 37, equaling 82. Listen to the Blue Jackets. Their line is 32, 55, and 25. It is 112. And again, we just eked out that win. Who had the better line? In the third line for the Penguins, yet again. And the final line, the fourth line. Very important thing to have. If you have a very good fourth line, guys, you're a playoff team. So the lines go, now this is based on the Penguins getting Elmer Soderblom, I think that's how you say his last name, the 6'8", 24-year-old. He's insane. He only has 5 points on the season. So, I mean, just the fact they, inserted him into the lineup, that's how it's going to look. And then you have the other guys I want to say their names. Duar and Achari, they are 27 and 19, equaling 51. Now, of course, that sounds like abysmal compared to the 155, 120, 115. 51. Now, listen to this. The Islanders' fourth line, this is their point spread with their guys. 7 for the left wing, 16 for the center, and just four for the right wing, equaling 27. So they're significantly lower than the Penguins' fourth line. Listen to the Blue Jackets. Right wing, 10 points, center 32, right wing 8, equaling exactly 50. We beat them by 1 point. So by the definition of who is separated by all these three teams, the Penguins clearly have the better team forward-wise. But I think the big issue, again, I've said it earlier, was defense. You know, when you think of guys, Carlson and, what's his name? Carlson and Witherspoon, they're not a problem. That's not the issue at all. But, you know, Samuel Girard, I think that's how you say his name, with Chris Letang, I think made a lot of obvious issues defensively for this team. But also you have Ryan Graves and Clifton. Now, Clifton has been kind of the inconsistent guy on this line for quite some time for the team. Like, so defensively, there's 4 or 5 glaring holes that, like, if they don't match up well defensively, if they're not a good pairing, again, it's obvious that Carlson and Witherspoon are the best line out of all of them. But this is really what it comes down to. Like, does this make you vulnerable in these areas? Of course it does. And then teams will be able to expose you on that. And then when they get, you know, on the other side of the blue line, then all of a sudden here comes Skinner and Shelos getting in trouble. And then we lose that goal. And then this is where you're at. So it really does make you wonder what it's going to take for the Penguins to figure it out. But, you know, the record, again, it tells a different story, because I do feel that the Penguins are going for the season record in overtime losses. I don't think that's necessary, but that's obviously what they're doing. In overtime, you either go 3-on-3 or you're going into a shootout. And in both cases, Penguins make that process look so painful to watch. Again, they're not going to be worrying about the shootout issues, but still, overtime, you don't figure that stuff out, it makes it tougher to go further into the playoffs. I mean, comparing the Penguins' 16 overtime losses to Blue Jackets' 11 and the Islanders' 5, it's hard to believe that we would be the superior team between them. And the last point I'll make, guys, is their record against both of them in the regular season is not good. The Islanders are beating us out. I believe it's 4 games out of 6. So we've lost we're 2-4 against that team. And you then look at the Blue Jackets. We've finished our season with them, and they won. They beat our regular season. They outdone us 4-3. And I think 4 of those games were 1 goal different. I think there was 8 or 9 in total between the Islanders and Blue Jackets, where we were all separated by 1 goal difference. So it makes it tougher when you're so close, but they just beat you out with 1 or 2 more goals. And this is the end result. So it's going to be interesting to go down the stretch. I mean, they've been a competitive team all season. But when you have bad results like this, guys, it's just really tough to know who's going to be the second place, third place, and wild card team. But only time will tell by the end of the season. All right, so we are going to end this segment on the Penguins with the schedule for these next couple of games. And in this schedule, you have these next 3 games. Again, another tough swim, you guys. We have the Avalanche coming into Pittsburgh on Tuesday, tomorrow night. We have the Penguins going to the Ottawa Senators on Thursday. And the big matchup, the Stars that, believe it or not, are still fighting for the Avalanche in the West for the best record. Again, always a really good team, always a great record team, and the tougher team, you know, blah, blah, and the NHLs. We're playing every one of them practically. It's just insane. But that is a really, really tough stretch because, again, the only thing that I say we have the advantage on all of this is that the West does not play like the East. So when a West, division team takes on an Eastern team, I will be picking the Eastern team every time. There's something about the East Coast side or, that side of the NHL where they just play a different kind of hockey. They're tougher. They're just more, they're meaner about it. Like, again, we kind of bullied the Avalanche in their home ice. So I feel as if this would be a pretty easy matchup. If I was going to predict how this game was going to go, I mean, I'm not saying it'll be a similar result, but I feel like the Avalanche will come out to prove a point. They will start the game out 1-0, the Avalanche. We'll go into the second period. I think we're going to get a goal back, but I think they're still going to shoot another goal. They go up 2-1, and that's when the Penguins have to really fight for the game in the third period, and it's going to end with the Penguins getting 3 goals in the third, and I think we're going to end up winning that game 4-2. And the next game would be the Ottawa Senators. We're going to be going to Ottawa, and it will be a 7:00 game. In the first period, I feel that Penguins will start things out pretty quick. I think we're going to go up 2-0 against Ottawa. They're going to shoot a goal in the second period. We will not. It'll be 2-1, close. And then by the third period, I feel like we're going to score 2 goals. They're going to score a goal. And that's going to be a similar game again, 4-2 result. And the final game with the Stars. Again, big matchup. It doesn't get any bigger for Dallas, more than us. But again, we're trying to keep up with everybody, so we're going to be scrappy for the rest of the season. In the first period, I think the Dallas Stars are going to I think they're going to tie us. I think we're going to be 1-1 going into the second period. And then I think the Dallas is going to take the lead. I think they're actually going to score 2 goals on us. I think it's going to be 3-1. By the third period, I think we're going to tie the game up. We're going to go into overtime. And I feel like we're going to lose that game. We're going to lose at home to Dallas 4-3 in overtime. But it gets us a point. So we're going to go through these next games, winning 2 and having 1 point from the overtime loss. But that's 5 points, and that should still keep us in second place by the start of next week and keep up with everybody else. All right, guys. It is time. It is truly time. The moment I have been waiting for this entire season. Off season, I have been waiting and waiting for this to happen, guys. It's here this week. Day 1. 6 months. Millions of possibilities. From the first step across the chalk to the final out of the season. It means every day, every game equals every day. Every day you put on your uniform, every day you put on your glove, every day you adjust your batting gloves, and every day you get to play baseball. It may just be day 1, but when day 100 comes along, you may look back on the season and say, man, if only we had just won the first game. Opening day starts on Thursday, but you can't just give it all up at the beginning of the season. You must stay strong. You must stay steady. You must stay focused. And above all, you must stay hungry. There are 162 plates to eat. And just like a race, guys, this is only the first course. You are a team, but there are 4 other teams in your division. There are 14 other teams in your league. And there are 29 other teams that start out 0-0, just like the Pirates. And after that first game, guys, half of the league will be 1-0. The other half will be 0-1. How do you want to start? It's the biggest marathon in sports, guys. Who will have the final win? It's all here in this MLB season. Oh, here it is, folks. Oh, guys, it's opening day. It's 4 days away or 3 days away. I am just beyond excited for this entire MLB season to take hold because potentially this could be the last one for a very long time. So, guys, I'm going to try and talk in a positive way because despite the decisions that have been made for the opening day roster after spring training, I know that Andy Rodriguez was sent down. I know that Jostenson Garcia, Password, was sent down. And of course, Connor Griffin was sent down. I made it abundantly clear that if Connor Griffin made the opening day roster, this organization would finally put an end to the nonsense that is an inconsistent season and say they were going to try to be winners and actually be competitive. Doesn't mean they're not going to, but it does signal that they're going to do it in a lazy and very frustrating way. I mean, again, I can't expect anything less from Bob Nutting, Travis Williams, and Ben Sherrington of the worlds. So this is what you got to deal with. So from the looks of this, Henry Davis is your opening day catcher. And on the bench, you have the backup, Joey Bart, Jonathan Magnum, and the two prospects that we got from trades, Billy Cook and Nick York. That's our bench. Like, again, I hear that, and it's like, really? You could not find room for either Garcia or Rodriguez? I'm not saying that Joey Bart is not a good player offensively in the season. He did not have a great spring training, but they did actually come to play, when it comes to Rodriguez. He did come to play too, and he did show the better numbers. But it's always about what these pitchers want to have behind the plate. And people keep saying between Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller and company, they want Henry Davis. So obviously these guys want to pitch well, but they don't want to win. I mean, the mentality that I hear from those players where it's like, guys, that's your logic, where it's like, he knows how to frame well, he knows how to catch me and all that, but the guy can't hit the ball. Now, he had a home run in his yesterday's spring training. I understand that, but the man has not shown any offensive consistency his entire MLB career. So this is what you got to deal with. And our team does have a lot to get ready for. I mean, I try to be positive, and this is what I'm going to say with our new and determined captain, Mr. Don Kelly, is going to bring this team as close to the playoffs as they have been in almost a decade. I do feel that. This guy is going to make good decisions in terms of the bullpen, in terms of who's in the lineup every day. He has a smart and very specific mind for the game, and I feel like what he's going to bring for this team is a lot of good strategy, so I'm not going to worry about that. And, Paul Skeens, guys, he is known there's these nicknames that I've looked up online, that there's this thing that apparently in old pirate tales, they would give you nicknames. Obviously First Mate is something we all know about, but I never heard of the Pirate King, and that's what I think of as Paul Skeens. That's the guy who has the Jack Sparrow hat with the outfit. He's on top of the sails. He is leading it all. He sees over the whole ship. And Paul Skeens is ready to just absolutely maul everybody over once again. And fellow swashbucklers, which is again another title, that go to guys like Mitch Keller, Bubba Chandler, and even Braxton Ashcraft. Braxton Ashcraft has probably been the most impressive pitcher this entire spring training. I am so excited to see what this dude has to look like in a lineup on the rotation. Oh, how he's going to play against every batter that comes to the box. He looks like he is absolutely fantastic. And for their choice to go with Carmen Mlodzinski, I do think that was the smartest choice for the rotation. If it's not Clevenger, I don't think Urquidy makes the lineup. They still have a couple of days before they have to make their 26-man decision. I would be very shocked to see if Jose is still with them, because this spring training was atrocious. I did not like any outing he did. And again, Mike Clevenger, he's 34, 35, but he still does have a little bit of a swing and miss kind of action. So I feel as if there was a choice between Clevenger and Urquidy, I'm going to go with Clevenger. and put him in the bullpen for now and see if he does not make a starting case. But that's really what the pitching staff is going to look like. Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Bubba Chandler, Karmajinsky, and Braxton Ashcraft. That sounds like a pretty darn good rotation to start with. And again, when Jared Jones comes back, to have a guy like Karmajinsky inserted in your bullpen and Jared Jones take over, you're just going to have nothing but heaters and guys with really great specialty pitches. Like, it's going to be a great rotation to watch this season. I'm so looking forward to this. But then, you know, then you got to look at the guys that they have acquired. I mean, I'm just talking about pitching right now. And then you look at like their actual lineup, going and getting Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, Marcell Ozuna. It was probably, again, it's the biggest hit that Ben Sherrington had as a GM. So again, don't stand him as his decision maker, but once in a while, I guess he did find a couple pearls in those oysters and the clams. So I'm very excited to see what this offense is going to look like with three accomplished batters that know how to actually do their job. This might be an infectious thing, guys. Again, it becomes that thing where when you have those players in the lineup, all these guys start to follow suit. And of course, no recipient of that said infection would be more suited for guys like Reynolds, like Cruz. And again, Henry Davis, just give me a 220 batting average. That's all I'm asking for you. Like, please just do it. If you can get that going, that would be awesome to know that the bottom of the lineup has at least a guy who can get a hit in a game. As far as the makeup of the lineup, it would make the most sense because Connor Griffin is down in the minors. I feel that they need to go with, I think Spencer Horwitz should lead off. I think that's a good choice for them. And then it would be the guys they acquired, Brandon Lau, or no, maybe Brian Reynolds should go over Lau. No, Lau, then Reynolds. So Spencer Horwitz, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, Ryan O'Hearn should be cleanup, should be number 4 guy. I don't like this experiment of the outfield first base. I feel like as if Marcell Ozuna can play the field, I know he's a DH, I know this, but if he can play the outfield, that would really solidify the fact that Ryan O'Hearn is your DH and you keep Spencer at first base. That makes complete sense to me. But yeah, so number 5 would probably go to Marcell Ozuna. Then it goes to O'Neal Cruz. And then I know they're doing this weird experimental thing with third base because it's like, oh, Jared Trill is going to be your third base. Wrong. No, they're going to put Jared Trill at short because they know that Nick Gonzalez can't play shortstop. So that makes more complete sense that a guy who can't really make the throw from shortstop to first, put him at third. I don't get it. I just would like to understand why they make these decisions. But again, they didn't address it in free agency. They said they were going to try, but no guy ever wanted to come to play for Pittsburgh when was a third baseman. So we are forced to have this bizarre, until Connor Griffin comes up next month, this Jared Trill at shortstop and this Nick Gonzalez, Billy Cook, Nick York third base. I mean, it just seems like a crazy experimentation thing. But yeah, that's what you got for your lineup after that. And then for the lineup, it goes Jared Triolo, then Nick Gonzalez, and then Henry Davis to end up the rest of the rotation. Now, as far as the bullpen is concerned, yes, the bullpen is loaded. It is loaded. I mean, we don't have the scariest closer on earth, but Dennis Santana does do his job in that regard of like, he doesn't make you look like too bad. He's not like the most inconsistent. It's not like a, nail biting kind of thing. He does show up. Like, I'm not saying he's most elite, but he doesn't make you completely sweat it out as a fan when he's closing. And of course, Gregory Soto is his setup man. And I do think that because Evan Sisk went down, I think they said they're going to have Hunter Barco be in the bullpen. I'm like, yeah, another lefty in the bullpen. That is so cool. I'm glad Hunter Barco made the roster. And it does go, I think, Montgomery, Isaac Matson. Did I already say Montgomery? I think they have. There's another name I'm totally blanking on, but I do think that what we have in that, Justin Lawrence is another one. I do remember that. But yeah, there's several great names in the bullpen, and a lot of them are lefties. I do like this idea they're coming up with, that because they didn't address the left-handed in the rotation. I feel like having the bullpen be lefties, it's going to make it a little more a good contrast every day to have a righty-lefty. It just depends on how they size up their lineups against other teams. But yeah, this whole season is about to go off, guys. Like, I know that Ben Sherrington has been a total letdown as GM. I mean, but after this offseason, you can't say he didn't have at least one impressive showing. So I got to give the man his dues, and he showed up. It's definitely the most important thing for them to know when to bring up Connor Griffin, and I think obviously that's when Jared Jones comes back. If Jared Jones is back by mid-May, that would make complete sense for me to bring Connor Griffin up, and nothing longer than that. I don't want him to be down in the minors for any longer than 6 to 7 weeks. So if we can get Mr. Jared Jones back and Connor Griffin and stay around 500, guys, this whole entire division is up for grabs. Like I've been saying, the Cubs are the most dangerous team on paper. Milwaukee still has a great rotation, and their lineup is, talented enough. But again, those are the two teams I'm most worried about. The Cardinals are in a rebuild, and the Reds, they don't have the rotation that they had before Hunter Green went down. It's a little different when a big rotation guy, it's kind of like if Paul Skeens were to go down, and then you have to fill that in your lineup. Like, that is a pretty ugly thing. Hunter Green is kind of their Paul Skeens, so now their rotation is a little exposed and vulnerable, and I just feel like they didn't do enough to address the lineup. So the Reds and the Cardinals are not anything I'm worried about this season. I'm just going to focus primarily on the Cubs and Brewers, and I think that we've got a shot. This, again, is the closest we have come to a playoff team in a decade. So, guys, get this season going and just know that they have a chance to, for the first time in 8 years, be playoff bound. All right, guys, really strap yourselves in because I have the MLB predictions. I'm going to be doing the entire MLB, so just please strap yourselves in and let's get to it. In the American League, the worst team in the West last year was the Angels at 72-90. And in the Central, it was White Sox at 60-102. And then for the East, I believe that would have been the Orioles at 75-87. Of those teams, I think the team that's going to stay in the bottom again is the Angels. It's just the West is a very stacked division. So I feel as if there's any team to repeat from last year as the worst, it's going to be Anaheim. I mean, yeah, Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and their pitching staff between Kikuchi and the Pomerantz, I know, is on that rotation. There's like 5 or 6 guys that I feel like they have names, playoff-like names. That's the thing I'm going to go with. If your team has a guy that has either experience or has enough talent to get you to the playoffs, that is where I'm focusing on. I feel like the Angels have like 6 out of 27 or 26, and I feel like that's not going to be good enough. So their record, I'm going to predict, is going to be 74-88. As far as the White Sox and Orioles go, they will be better than last place. I think they're going to really move up in their standings. I mean, Chicago doesn't have much more than the Angels, but I feel like they have acquired a lot. And of course, that Japanese player, Moritaki, I think that's his last name, that really does help boost the lineup like immensely. And again, guys like veterans like Andrew Benintendi and Austin Hayes have been acquired. They are going to help them be a lot better. I think the ownership of the worst team in the AL Central is going to go to the Twins. Not just because they have given away a lot of their key players, but we all know who their new manager is, and we know how good he is at his job. So I'm going to predict that the White Sox go, 68-94, and the Twins will go 66-96. With the Orioles case, it's going to be night and day. I mean, they have done a great job at their offseason. Of course, the big blockbuster move was the Pete Alonso acquisition. That was an awesome thing to hear. And pitchers like Chris Bassett, Zach Eflin, and former Pittsburgh Pirate prospect Shane Baz from the Rays moved to the Orioles. That rotation just went from good to great. So it's really going to help them. And again, with the playoff players, I feel like there's at least 11 names on this team. I mean, if I read them off, Rushman, Holiday, Henderson, and Tyler O'Neill, they did get a lot of guys. And I mean, as far as bullpen goes, again, it all adds up to about 11 guys. So if you're 13 or better, then that means you're a playoff team. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so they're close. I think that the Orioles are going to go with a record of, 84 and 78. And as far as the team that's going to be the worst in that division, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, they had a fire sale. We got one of their players. A lot of the other guys went elsewhere. And now they've got guys like Shane McClanahan, Steven Matz from the Mets, and Drew Rasmussen. Is that how you say his last name? It's an okay rotation. And yes, there are several players still in that lineup with, Junior Caminero, great player, Yandy Diaz, Cedric Mullins, Gavin Lux. They're throwaways from teams that thought that their careers were done. So I feel like that does kind of plant them as the worst team in that division. I'm going to go with a record of 80 and 82. Now, moving up the ladder in the American League, the West does have a 4-team race, and the East has a 3-team race as well as the Central. They have a 3-team race as well. The Texas teams in the West, between the Rangers and the Astros, their stories are going to be very interesting. I mean, the Rangers do have talent, but I don't think they have season-lasting talent. I don't think they're going to go the whole season being able to handle the whole stretch. They may be good up until about June or July, but when August hits, I feel like nosedive. And then the Astros, they are finally getting over the era of Altuve and Correa and Diaz like that. I think that era is officially over. And I think that their record is going to go a little down, not a whole lot, but I feel like this is going to be the last year of them being completely competitive. I know they picked up some guys in the offseason, but the transition is going to start to show after this coming season. And of course, they're all trying to play against Seattle. That's my pick for the AL West. They have done a great job at keeping the guys, adding on to that team, and their rotation is just filthy. I mean, between Gilbert, Castillo, Wu, and there's another name in that rotation. Oh, man. But yeah, they've got a lot of great names. So I feel as if the Rangers will be 4th in this division. Oh, I didn't even mention the Athletics. Oh, I did not even mention Las Vegas or Sacramento or where they're at right now. Athletics are interesting. They are a very scrappy-looking team offensively. They may have 6 bats in that lineup that actually could do damage. They did a lot of great things with their offense last year, but obviously the weakness is the rotation. I think you have Luis Severino and who else? I just feel like there's maybe another pitcher in that rotation. So as if they were to stay around 500 and acquire some pitchers in the trade deadline, that actually might be a playoff team. But I'm going to go with my prediction and say that the Rangers will go 4th in this division. It's not going to be too low, but they're not going to be winning it. The Athletics are going to go 3rd, and the Astros will go 2nd, which leaves the Seattle Mariners winning this division. I think if I'm right, I say the records are 79 and 83 for the Rangers. I think the Athletics will go 83 and 79. I think they'll have a winning season, but they're not going to make the playoffs. And the Astros will go 86 and 76, just missing the playoffs again. It's kind of the same story as last year. So yeah, the Seattle Mariners, they're just going to be a very top-heavy team. They have the most playoff caliber players, in my opinion, at 16 of 26. And I think that their record is going to be 91 and 71 this year. Now, the AL Central is interesting just because everyone's kind of in the middle of a lot of things, and you don't know which way it's going to go. Cleveland always plays consistent, but they only have 8 of 26 names. Again, with Jose Ramirez, I think that's the big name. That's really a lot of the cachet. And I mean, their rotation is right there. It's not great. It's not bad, but it's just kind of like they're going to probably hover around 500. And but I don't know exactly what's going to spark it. Baseball is such a difficult animal to predict. But in terms of the Kansas City Royals, they have a solid rotation. That's going to be a really tough team to pitch, to hit against, because their pitching is going to be great. I still think they have like 10 out of 26, and most of it is in their rotation. I just personally think the clear winner in this division is Detroit. I know the Royals have a shot at challenging. Maybe, again, I don't know what the Guardians are going to do, but I feel as if Detroit is clearly the stacked team. Like, their rotation is just bonkers. Like, Valdez, Justin Verlander returning to the Tigers after, 10 years almost? It's crazy how long he's been off that team. But again, matching him with, what's his name? I got the names right here. Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, and of course the reigning Cy Young, American League Cy Young winning stud, Tariq Skubal. This is a rotation that is filthy. And again, that lineup is good enough to just carry with that pitching. Like, the pitching is going to carry them, but that team is good enough offensively to do something. So I have a final for that division race between the Central to be, the Guardians will go 82-80. I think they'll have a winning record. The Rangers will go 84-78, and I think the Tigers will go 89-71. Now, we're ending with the East in the American League. This is the hardest one to predict. Again, between the three other teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Okay, strap it in. The pitching matchups, insane. The lineups, the defenses, the coaching, everything is just wow. So as much I'll cover it, but I'll try to keep it generic. Like, I can't believe, I think the third best team in this division, guys, believe it or not, is the New York Yankees. I cannot believe how high I am on the Red Sox, but I did see my one pitcher I did like for us, Johan Oviedo, go to them. And with him in that rotation, between Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray is now a Red Sox, and him, guys, this rotation could be the scariest rotation in the American League. It's not maybe in baseball, but definitely in the American League. They're going to be a really tough team. I know the Yankees always have a huge lineup, and Garrett Cole is scheduled to be back this year. But when you look at both of them, Yankees, in my opinion, have 14 out of 26 playoff players. The Red Sox have 15. It's just that darn close, guys. But as insane as these two teams are, they still have to dethrone the Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays last year were probably the biggest story in baseball, and I was blown away by that entire run all the way to the World Series. It was amazing. I mean, Vladdy and them, gosh. I want to say, I just lost his name. It's not Bo Bichette. What is his name? The shortstop. Come on. Andres Gimenez. No, I don't. That's not what I was thinking. Oh gosh, but yeah, that entire lineup, just from top to bottom. George Springer had the best season he's had in a long time. It was absolutely incredible. Like, I feel as if this team does have another huge number. I think they have the highest number in the American League at 18 out of 26 players. Like, this is a very, very incredible playoff team. And I do think they're tending to repeat, guys. Again, it's been since 2018 that I've been high on the Blue Jays, and they're finally showing the capability with guys like Vladdy and them leading the way and doing it again. I think the Yankees will go 87-75. The Red Sox will go 90-72, and the Blue Jays will have one of the better records in the American League at 96-66. Okay, here's the National League, guys. All right, let's see who ends up with what division and what, and then where and who and how. So the same thing with the AL. The worst teams in the National League in 2025 were the Rockies in the West, with the worst division in 60 years of 43-119. Gah, that's unbelievable. The Nationals were the worst team in the East with 66-96. And of course, our Buccos just doing it again, being last place in the Central at 71-91. Spoiler alert, they won't be that this year. They're not. I think the easiest division in the National League to predict is the West, just because we know that the Rockies are going to repeat. I don't think they're going to be as bad, but they're definitely going to repeat as the worst team in the West. Just bad lineup, bad rotation. Again, Jose Quintana is like their big name. Michael Lorenz is another. Again, you're naming maybe 3 or 4 guys total in that entire team. It's abysmal, and I feel bad. Like, I remember the Rockies at, 15 years ago? They were a playoff team, and they haven't reached that ever since. So it's going to stay in the cellar, and I'm going to give this prediction of, I'm going to say 58 and 104. Even though it's abysmally bad, it's not going to be historically bad as 43 and 119. No way. The next team, I would say, again, this is just predicting the National League. I think in the next game, team up is the Diamondbacks. Arizona is still very much a good team. They have a lot of great talent, but I just don't see them competing with California. It's California versus everyone else. That's pretty much what it is. And Arizona has 5 or 6 names in the position players. I think they've got about 2 or 3 pitchers. It's okay, but it's definitely not going to be anywhere near competitive. I think the Diamondbacks are going to go 75 and 87. All right, now California, let's get this settled. The Giants have a solid rotation and a workable lineup, not a scary lineup, but it could win you games. And then the Padres are kind of the opposite. Like, they've got a great lineup, but their pitching is not exactly, it's an underwhelming rotation. I just think that the Giants, they have 10 out of 26 guys that are talented, and the Padres have 12 out of 26. And folks, let's just say what it is. The Dodgers are winning this division for the 15th time in a row. I mean, it's crazy how this team never goes away. The billion-dollar super team, it's just what they are, guys. So knowing that this is the division, I think that the question is who's going to win second, who's going to win third. It's just a question of that. And are they going to be good enough to get to the playoffs? So, I mean, if I look at this setup, I think the Giants are going to go 83 and 79. I think they're going to be the third place team. The Padres will go 86 and 76. That might be a playoff team, maybe. And the Dodgers will have a wonderful, perfect record of 100 wins and 62 losses. That's my prediction on that. Oh, now let's talk about the NL East, guys. It's loaded. There are 3 elite teams with a good team and a bad team. Of course, the bad team, once again, is the Nationals. They're not going to be doing a whole lot. They lost Mackenzie Gore to the Astros, I believe, or Rangers. They lost him to the Rangers. So the fact that you just lost one of your biggest pitchers and C.J. Abram cannot be that far behind. The trade deadline, again, will be huge this year. I am predicting that. The Nationals just don't have a whole lot to look forward to. It's going to be abysmal, and I'm going to say it's a 60-102 loss team. That'd be almost as bad as the Rockies. And the good team is Miami. I do like that they have a very young team and a very scrappy team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that they're going to have a winning record, and I don't see that. But there's a lot of potential for them to show that they've got good players, and if they develop that, they might be good, but not great. I got to predict that they're going to have a record of 73 and 89. Now let's look at these elite teams. The Braves had a really bad year last year. The Phillies underperformed, and the Mets, they just do what Mets do and didn't show up completely. Yeah, the way it went was it was Phillies, Mets, Braves last year. I don't know if that is going to change. Like the Braves are always a solid team with competitive pushes here and there, but they didn't have a lot of healthy guys last year, so they had to deal with that. They still have 10 or 11 guys. I mean, you name the lineup: Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, again, it's a heavy lineup, and the pitching is good. It's not something that's going to strike fear anymore like that used to be the case, but I feel like that Chris Sale is almost 37. Like, he's in his mid-30s. I know you could still be a great pitcher beyond 35. But as you look at the whole rotation as a whole, it's kind of, again, vulnerable. It's suspect. So I feel like that is a team that I just feel like that's going to be the third place team again. I understand that, Atlanta has much healthier guys. I think they're going to be a good push, but I just feel like it's going to end with them being just close. And of course, the guys like the Mets. God, the Mets. They are actually, I don't know if I ever said this, but they are my second favorite team in the MLB. If I'm not rooting for the Pirates, I'm rooting for the Mets. Not to tick off my Philly cousins, even though that's a good reason. I just like their uniforms, guys. I think they're cool uniforms, and they're not the Yankees. I feel like if you're going to root for a New York team, not the Yankees. Like, that's just what my reasons were for it. I just really like this lineup. I think this is a very, very sneaky good lineup. I mean, the 1-2 punch of Lindor and Soto is going to be sick. They're going to sting something awful. And then you have newly acquired guys like Bo Bichette and Marcus Semien. That's great pickups for them. And, of course, you have Jorge Polanco is also acquired. I don't know about their DH, the Batty. I know he had like 18 home runs last year or something like that. It wasn't terrible, but this is a team that really has depth in terms of the lineup. The whole lineup is going to be a very interesting hit. And, of course, the rotation. I know that they have Sean Manaea, and, of course, they have Freddie Peralta they just acquired. David Peterson, I know is a name. McLean. It's a decent team this year. And, again, there's no reason as to why the bullpen can't stay stable with who they've got. And, of course, the Phillies. Now, these are my cousin's Phillies. But also, I've done this wonderful thing, guys. I have somehow managed to have lifelong friends who have married Phillies girls. All my guy friends, they have married women who are Philly fanatics. They love them to death. And I have my dear friend's getting married this year or next year, and he's going to be marrying a Phillies girl as well. I just find it funny that it's like, well, I'm going to be kind of the odd man out if I ever find myself someone, and she's going to be a Pirate fan. There's no discussion on that one. But it's just, they love making fun of me because I'm a Pirate guy, and I love teasing them because, they never win the World Series. So not do I just have my cousins, but I have these wonderful ladies in my life that just love to torture me as well. Like, I got a lot of Philly fans in my life, and it's just wonderful when baseball season starts. But yeah, there's no exception to this season, you guys. The lineup is what it is. As for the past 4 or 5 years, this has been a very, very premier lineup team. Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, the Phenom, Bryce Harper, and Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm. I can name a lot of the guys on the Phillies because I like to keep up, make sure that my cousins know if they ever fail. And I know that they lost Ranger Suarez. Oh, Ranger Suarez is also a Red Sox. Oh, God, that makes it even more dangerous. Man, that's going to be an ugly freaking rotation to deal with. Wow. But no, they lost him. Zach Wheeler's still hurt. And again, that really is a thing when you don't have the biggest names that you need to start the season out. Because again, if you're playing catch up, for the months of July, August, and September, it's going to make it tougher. I'm not predicting this. I'm just simply saying that is going to be a tough test for this rotation to get over. The lineup can carry this team. Okay, so I'm predicting it right now. Like I said, the third place team is the Atlanta Braves. They are going to have a record, to me, of 84-78, and it's between the Phillies and the Mets. If you ever watch this, guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Philadelphia, but I'm picking the Mets to win this division this year. I'm sorry. I know it's going to be tough to swallow, but all the things I named, I feel like that's going to make it tougher for them. So I'm predicting that the Phillies are going to go 88-74, and the Mets are going to win this East with a record of 91-71. All right, guys, it is time to talk the Central. I know I've kind of already given this setup, but let's just get right through it. It all comes down to who has a more complete team that's going to win this division particularly. The most incomplete team naturally is the St. Louis Cardinals. They have 5 or 6 guys, maybe 1 or 2 guys in the rotation, a couple of guys in the lineup still. I mean, Nolan Arenado's gone, and Paul Goldschmidt has been gone. Like, there's really not a whole lot to talk about with this position players. And I think the Cardinals are going to end with a record of 65-97. It's basically a former shell of themselves from the last 10, 12 years ago. The next team on this list, to me, is the least incomplete team, which is the Cincinnati Reds. I know that having Hunter Green out is not anyone's idea of like, oh, just one guy, like it's going to mess. I think it's going to mess him up a lot. Like it makes sense. Like if you don't have a guy like Paul Skeens or Zach Wheeler, you're acing your rotation. It just makes it tougher for you to get over it. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, the Reds did make the playoffs last year, but that was on the back end of their pitching. And I feel like the pitching will kind of take a hit this year. And I don't think that that's going to repeat. I think that the lack of depth in the lineup is going to hurt them. And I'm going to give them a record of 82-80. They're barely just going to miss on the 500 season. So now it's down to Milwaukee, Chicago, and us. I loathe the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm no shame in saying they are a thorn in my side for the past 15, 20 years I've been watching baseball again. But like, despite the hatred, I know how good this team is. They had the most wins in baseball last year over the Dodgers. That is unbelievable. But will that happen again? Will they win this division? No. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, they have a fantastic rotation and a lineup that can hit, but I do have a feeling that losing Freddie Peralta in your rotation does take you down about 5 or 6 wins. So it will be interesting to see how they handle themselves, but I feel like it's going to hurt them more than it's going to help. And I feel like the Brewers are going to go 85-77. I think they're going to have a 12-loss season more than what they had because of these problems. All right, folks, Chicago versus Pittsburgh. I know how ludicrous it is to think that the Buccos could possibly win a division because it hasn't happened in forever. They have not won a National League title since 1992. Everyone else in this division has won this division at least once in the last 33 years. I mean, but will that finally end? Will they do it? No, because we know why. Again, starting those big players I mentioned in the minors to put together this kind of subpar, what are you doing kind of mentality. Again, this has to be the GM. I refuse to believe Don Kelly would allow these kind of issues to happen. But again, crazier things have happened. But I'm just going with Ben Sherrington, Travis Williams have decided that they're going to try to mess up this lineup as much as possible. And we're going to have to suffer for at least 6 to 7 weeks until the other guys come up. I'm crossing my fingers that this team will be 500 and they'll be able to make a push by the trade deadline, acquire more guys, and try to take the division. But I just do not believe what they have is enough to win this division, guys. As much as I really would like to finally say it in my existence, that since I was 5 years old, that they win this National League Central, it's going to be us in second place, which leaves us with a record of 87-75. I'll be generous. I think this team has the potential to actually have 87 wins, improve by 16 wins. I am going to go for it this year. I'm going to swing for the fences on it, which leaves the heavy lineup favored guys between Pete Crow Armstrong, Dansby Swanson, newly acquired Alex Bregman, and that rotation is very, very good. I think this Cubs team is amazing. I've always kind of liked rooting for the Cubs because I always felt like when I started watching, us and the Cubs were the losers and the misfits of that division. And now all of a sudden they're a premier team, and they've always been a rich team, but they just never had anything happen for them. And now I feel like they're going to be back in it, and they're going to have a final of 89-73. So there it is, guys. That's all my predictions. I will go into it. Let's see. If I want to say really quick, what would that make it all? I think I have, again, the Cubs winning their division, the Mets winning theirs, and the Dodgers winning theirs. So Mets, Cubs, Dodgers as the winners of their division. And in the AL, I think I said the Tigers for the Central, the Blue Jays for the East, and the Seattle Mariners for the West. I'm going to predict that the wild card teams in the American League, let's see if I remember what I said. I think I know the Phillies. Oh, no, hold on. I'm still talking the American League. I think that Boston and the Yankees are going to be wild card teams. And if I'm right, I think I had the blue. Well, I may have the Astros. Okay, so I think I have the Astros. So the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Astros will be the wild card teams in the American League. And in the National League, I have us at 87 and 75. So I think we're going to be a wild card team. And I'm going to say for another wild card team, I think the Padres and the Phillies. I'm going to go that way. So Pirates, Padres, and Phillies are going to make up for the National League wild card teams. That's all I'm going to predict. I will make a prediction for the World Series by the trade deadline in a couple of months. All right, guys. To finally end this part of it, oh my goodness, I've been going on. It's over an hour. Woo! All right, let's talk about the opening day roster. Let's take a look, guys. The first series of this season goes against the New York Mets. And our opening day matchup, Paul Skeens versus Freddie Peralta. We have seen Peralta many different times before. Again, you look at our lineup. We had several at-bats with Bart. Cruz is 0.77 against this guy, so that's not a good sign. Nick Gonzalez has had 10 at-bats, but he has a 200 batting average. Horowitz has 7 at-bats against me. He has a 286. That's a good thing. And I mean, Brandon Lau has only seen him 5 times. And he has a batting average of 200. O'Hearn has a 167. He's had that many matchups. Osuna, 200. I mean, not all that great, but Reynolds has a great batting average against this guy. 39 at-bats with this dude. Shooey. Now, I see Bart, Cruz, and Gonzalez all have homers off the guy. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but, guys, I mean, you take a look at Paul Skeens. He has not let a home run against anyone that is a starter for this. The best hitter that has faced Paul Skeens that can get a hit off him are either Bichette or Lindor. That is it. I mean, I'm not saying this is an easy one to predict, but it seems like we're going to be going against them. I mean, if I'm going to say what a record will be, I think the score is going to go in the third inning, we're going to get a run. I think in the fifth, we're going to get another one. I think Paul's going to go 7 innings strong. I'm going to predict he'll have 92 pitches pitched. He's going to have, I'll say, 7 strikeouts. I'll be generous to the Mets lineup, but he's going to get at least 7 strikeouts, and he will go 7 strong, not giving up a single run. And then we're going to go into the 7th or 8th inning, 2-0. I think the Mets will score, tie the game up 2-2. And then in the top of the 9th, I think we're going to do enough to the closer to put up 2 runs, and I think they're going to try and claw back in the bottom against Santana, maybe get a run. I think we're going to win the game 4-3. And Paul Skeens gets his win, and Santana gets a save. So start the first game season with a win. And if we look at the next game, we then play on Saturday at 4 o'clock. We have Mitch Keller taking on David Peterson. And I mean, again, Mitch Keller, his last outing was okay. It wasn't great. This is the real, if we're going to have a great season, he needs to pretty much pitch like everybody else is going to. So if he messes up, that's really going to put a hitch in a lot of the rotation in terms of the record. And but if we look at like how everyone's handled him, look at this. Like Batty has 7 at bats. The guy has a 429 batting average. Polanco has 500. Robert Jr. has 1,000. Like he's not like completely beaten up on. But if we look at David Peterson, the O'Neill Cruz, 333 batting average lifetime against him. Nick Gonzalez, 250. Horowitz, 500. Osuna, 182. Triolo has a really good record against him or batting average, 400. That's encouraging. But when you look at like the final game of this matchup, I feel like if we're going to talk the game score for that one, I feel like Keller will kind of get hit around. I think he'll give up 3 runs in 6 innings, maybe strike out 5. I think Peterson will give up a run, so we'll be down 3-1 by the 6th inning. And I think we're going to try to push back, get another run, but I think they're going to score 2 more, and they're going to end up winning this game 5-2. So Keller will have his first loss of the season. We'll have our first loss. So it'll be 1-1 going into Sunday's game. And finally, we'll end it with the matchup on Sunday, being a 1:40 game, with Carmen Mlodzinski taking on McLean. They don't have a whole lot of numbers against McLean. I think the only person who has any numbers is Ozuna, and he has not a single hit off the guy. So, but you look at like how everyone else has hit Carmen Mlodzinski, either 500 or 1,000. Based on that, you're going to probably look at a game in which we're probably going to give up 2 runs from Mlodzinski. He'll go 4 innings. They're going to bring in like another guy. He won't be able to get through the lineup twice. I think we'll hit McLean. I think we're going to probably hit 2 runs ourselves, have it tied 2-2 by the 6th or by the 4th, and then they're going to hit 2 runs, make it 4-2 by the 5th. I think we're going to charge back. I think we're going to score 3 runs by the 7th, make it 5-4, and then the 8th inning, I think we're going to get another run in, and it'll be 6-4. And I think that's how it's going to end. I think we're going to win this first series of the season, and we're going to take care of business against the Mets. All right, guys. Phew. I'm going to try my darndest to make this small. I did not mean to go on this long, but yeah, I had a lot to talk about with those other teams. But no. So these guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And my talking point is, which draft path do the Steelers take? I feel as if this is a very good question in terms of how it can be answered 3 ways. So, if the Steelers, with their first pick this draft, go with a boring choice, I'll start with the boring choice, I'll go with the exciting choice, and then I'll go with the probably particular, like how they should go choice. So the boring choice, they're going to probably go guard. Like, let's say that's the direction they go. And I've heard a lot of noise that it could be the Penn State guard. I cannot say that guy's name for life of me because it's a very odd sounding name. But I've heard stories that they are looking at him. And if he were to be the replacement for Isaac Seumalo, I mean, his specialty at Penn State was that he was a great run blocker. So could guys like Caleb Johnson or Jalen Warren or Rico Dowdle like find big holes with a guy like him? That would be very refreshing to know. If they can't figure out the quarterback situation with Aaron Rodgers or Will Howard or whoever, then they at least have a running game where they can find holes to start something big there. I think that would be the smartest way to go. It's boring, but it's probably the smartest way to go. I very much would appreciate them for solidifying that part of the ball, because the free agency, it was really a great job by Omar Khan addressing cornerback, safety, defensive line. Like, there was a lot of great things he did for the defense in the free agency. So I feel like offensively, this is where we're going to be heading in the draft. We're going to go on the offensive side because you don't have to pay players, and they don't like paying the offense. So I just I think it's the sneaky way they're going to do this. But yeah, that's my choice for which way for the first choice. The exciting choice, I think, if they go in the draft, is another wide receiver. Yeah, Pittman's a great pickup they got, but knowing that Metcalf and Pittman, even that is not enough. I think that knowing the name that I've been hearing a lot and the one I keep saying, I just think that this is the correct way to go. And if they say he's going to be in that part of the draft, like the lower part of the first round, is Makai Lemon from USC. And again, hearing this guy's specialties, like he, is great with his hands. He's been a very effective guy the last year or two for USC. He's really come on his last several years. And that's exactly what you want from a WR3 who's a rookie. I don't see why they wouldn't go that route, but again, they have made their choices in the past, and some of them have worked, some of them have not. And again, I feel like Derek Harmon has been a huge push for like that. They did do a great job at picking him up. That was like the best choice for defensive lineman in last year's draft. So they really got that one right. They did a great job with that first round pick. So I feel that if you don't go guard, wide receiver, and that choice, I feel like you can't go wrong with that. That seems like that would solidify everything. Having Metcalf, Pitt, and Lemon, that just sounds like a very lethal wide receiving core. But again, which way, if they go either way, it just sounds like they're trying to wait for Aaron Rodgers. If they go this way or that way, they're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make his decision, and we're going to have him as our quarterback for the start of the season. Now, here's the interesting one. If they go quarterback, this is the, traditional, this is the way you go. But if he's not there, I don't know why they would go this route. But obviously, Mendoza will be the first one chosen by Las Vegas. And then they have Ty Simpson, I think it's either Sampson or Simpson from Alabama. They say that they could go that route for quarterback. Now, I don't know how to do mock drafts to save my life because, again, the scenarios are so crazy because you have 12 picks in this draft, and they are going to be using a little bit of the lower draft or whatever to move up at some point. They're going to be trading up these picks at some point in time, and I don't know how you do that. Like, I don't know, like, oh, I'm going to do my, mock draft. I'm going to take my 7th round, my 5th round, give it to so I can move up to the 3rd or something, to go and collect the safety or the outside line that you look at. I don't know how to do that at all. Like, I can follow it, but it's like I'm not good at making the prediction. But I'm saying that route with the guard, left guard for Penn State, or Makai Lemon for USC. The quarterback for Alabama, Ty Simpson, I mean, I've heard that he is a fairly larger person, but I don't know if that's the right way to go. I would rather ride with Will Howard. I just, regardless of, they've ruined his development and Mike Tomlin stepped on that. I feel like they need to at least give him a chance. This mini camps and preseason, use him as much as you possibly can. If, Aaron Rodgers does come back again, it would definitely solidify, again, with the other two choices, for him to have a chance to still be competitive as a 42-year-old quarterback. And again, the running game is really going to be very much improved. Regardless of what they try to do, I feel like this is the most important way they can handle this. So I think that in the first round pick, we are either going to go left guard, wide receiver, or quarterback for the first pick. Guys, we're less than a month. We're about a month away from the draft. Oh, it's just exciting, guys. It's knowing that it's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's just awesome. I'm so looking forward to the hoopla. I have a coworker at my job who told me that him and his dad are going to be there in the crowd. I'm like, dude, I can't get off that day, but man, I wish I could. That would just be epic. To be there at that kind of spectacle. I mean, a lot of people say that it's bigger than the Super Bowl, and I'd like to think that is the case because with the Super Bowl, you only have 2 teams. And, yeah, we're going to be rooting for one side or the other if it's not our team. But the NFL draft, it's everybody. Everybody's involved. Everyone's going to be there. Every representative of every team in every city is just going to be on display. And it's such a cool atmosphere. And to know that it's going to be happening in Pittsburgh, I hope it's as good as it should be. So that is my talking point for that. I think what I'm going to move on to for the Steelers, I'm going to end it with this. I'm not saying I didn't run out of topping points, but I definitely want to address this idea of waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Omar Khan and company promised that they would not make this mistake again and say they're not going to wait this long. And here we are doing it again. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with solidifying that spot and making sure it's the right guy. But I feel as if doing it this way will not increase any kind of push to the playoffs. I'm not saying if we're going to go with Will Howard, we're going to all of a sudden be a playoff. No. I'm not saying that at all. And we may have to wait a couple of years if we're going to go that route too. And again, Aaron Rodgers is a guy that can get you to the playoffs tomorrow. But when he was in the playoffs against the Texans, I saw with my own eyes that he really struggled, that he was, not knowing how to get open. He was, again, that was one of the tougher defenses in the league. And I know that our offensive line was not the greatest, but when you have a quarterback that's in there making the decisions he makes, it just seems like there has to be some level of mobility. And when you're 42 turning 43, it's not the consistency that you're going to see. Like, he can do it here and there, but I just feel like we need to make sure that this is the right decision, not just because we want to try to stay relevant in the playoffs. If we're not trying to go out there and acquire a quarterback that's going to lead these guys to another playoff team and actually have a push, then again, what exactly is the identity of the Steelers? I have been really wondering this now for the last couple seasons, especially with them flip-flopping with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and then it never worked with either one. And then again, you went after Aaron Rodgers, and he's the guy he is, and he makes the decisions he makes in the fashion he does. And it's just like, guy, just give us a decision. Like, I don't understand why it needs to be drawn out like some, daytime soap opera or reality talk show. Like I don't want, Phil Donahue or Sally Jesse Raphael. Those days are over. I feel like that needs to stop being the way that we sensationalize things, especially with the Steelers. Like, ever since Antonio Brown had that, hiccup with the video with the AFC Championship showing Mike Tomlin giving the speech, I feel like the Steelers have just been the biggest circus in the NFL. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to do things their own way, but us as fans, I feel like we have suffered enough when it comes to, like, are we trying to do this or are we trying to be that? I just want us to have a clear understanding that this is the direction that they should go, and this is the team that needs to be the example for the future. Like, I feel like we have been tap dancing for the last 6-7 years, ever since, Ben has retired in 21. This has been an organization that has struggled to find any type of positive identity, and doing it this way again, it just shows that this team has really struggled to move on, find the right thing. And I don't mind the Mike McCarthy thing. I've learned to live with that. This is our coach. He will be here for about, I'm going to put a number on it, say 5 to 7 years maximum. And then we're going to move on to the next guy. And I can only hope that this is a setup that finds a way to get them into this competitive nature that actually would be respectable. I just feel like everything we've done has really baffled a lot of analysts. And again, I don't say that I agree with anything that they have said. Like, we constantly are a fourth place team every preseason. We're always the one that you count out, but we never show that. And I just feel like their reasons for being that negative make sense to me, but in their discovery of like, well, this is not good or that's not good, that's not true. Everything is always, good with it's always the coaching staff that I feel like needs to be the one that takes a lot of the brunt. But then they say about how, these players and their talent, no. And it's like, guys, Terrell Austin was not a good defensive coordinator. And, if Arthur Smith was one step ahead of Matt Canada, that's not going to get you to the playoffs. I mean, again, talent does win games, but everything needs to be set up in order for you to make a championship run or a playoff run. So they need to start figuring out the formula that's going to actually get them there. That's really the bigger priority. And I just hope that after this season, the waiting game is no longer a thing. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. An hour and a half. Woo! I'm sorry. I'm proud of myself on this one. I really hope that you guys enjoy the content. I very proud of what I've come up with. This is going to be a lot of fun. Again, I'm going to try to keep this under an hour, but obviously there was a lot to talk about. This is the start of the baseball season. The NHL playoffs are just around the corner, and the draft's almost here. I mean, there was a lot to talk about. So I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And until next time, guys, enjoy being black and gold.